you could hear it on the AM radio. Yeah, you could hear the music on the AM radio. I can still hear mama say, boy, turn the radio down.
Mocht je denken dat het gedaan is met de korte en middengolfradio, dan zou je het wel eens mis kunnen hebben. Ik ben namelijk onderweg naar een bijzondere man met een zeker zo bijzondere missie, waar hij ook nog eens investeerders voor gevonden heeft, die letterlijk miljoenen steken in zijn project. Ik ben namelijk in de Verenigde Staten onderweg naar Alan H. Wiener, de man achter WBCQ in de plaats Monticello, in de staat Maine, vlak tegen de Canadese grens, zo ongeveer in the middle of nowhere. Zijn missie met zijn radiostation is Free Speech Radio. Iedereen die iets te vertellen heeft is welkom om zijn of haar verhaal te doen bij WBCQ. Dat kan onder andere met een zeer krachtige korte golfzender van 2000 kilowatt, die praktisch iedere plek op aarde kan bereiken.
WBCQ is a very unique station. I believe we are the only AM, FM, and international shortwave station in the country. There are other private shortwave stations, and of course there's thousands of private AM and FM stations, but I believe we are the only AM-FM shortwave combo in the US, where we have international shortwave to serve the world with free speech radio, and we have a local AM and FM station providing news, information, great rock and roll, and the best country music that you'll ever hear on 94.7 WBCQ FM.
This is WBCQ, we are the planet where the people speak for themselves.
Well, this is the AM-FM building, and we have our AM transmitter that operates on 780. It's old, but it's reliable, and it's lightning proof too. And we have one of our FM transmitters, which we're actually using a solid state amplifier instead of the tube unit, and this is on 98.3, very dependable, very, very reliable. We are an international broadcast station. We transmit on shortwave all over the world, and we're dedicated to free speech radio, meaning that people come to us with programming, religious programming, political programming, music programs, and they want to reach a worldwide radio audience on a real radio station with a real transmitter, sending signals to receivers all over the world. And that's WBCQ's mission. We're all about free speech to get anyone who has a voice on international shortwave.
Iedereen lijkt dus welkom bij WBCQ. Zolang je betaalt, mag je je verhaal doen op de radio. Maar wat nou als Radio China, IS, Al-Qaeda of een andere staatsvijand van de VS zich meldt bij de studio in Monticello bij WBCQ? Kan zo'n organisatie dan ook zendtijd huren?
We'd welcome them. We'd welcome them with open arms to express their viewpoint, because that's the secret to a free and open society, is that all viewpoints must be presented in the light of day for all people to see. It's when things are kept as secrets and in the darkness that people don't have the information, they can't make a decision. So if Radio China International came to us, wanted to buy airtime, we'd put them on the air. Our listeners would have a chance to listen to their viewpoints, their opinions, and then they could make an informed decision whether they agree or disagree with it. And that's what free speech radio is all about.
It's the real voice of America, WBCQ.
Free speech is freedom of expression. It's freedom of approval, it's freedom of discontent, it's the freedom also for people to listen and hear other viewpoints, sometimes opposing viewpoints, sometimes matters that they might not feel that comfortable with. But in order to guarantee a free and open society, a free and open republic, it is necessary for people to hear all sides of a political, a religious, a social argument. And it really is more than words. It's people interacting with each other, it's emotions, it's religious ideologies, it's things that we do in everyday life. Yes, it's more about words. It all boils down to freedom.
Als je iedereen zendtijd gunt, dan zou het zomaar zo kunnen zijn dat je daar geen vrienden mee maakt. Er zijn namelijk best veel mensen, luisteraars, die snel op de tenen zijn getrapt.
Are we afraid of like listener retaliation or bad people out there coming up here to hurt the station or threaten people's lives? Are we fearful of it? No. Are we concerned about it? Sure. And we have steps. I mean, we have protocols here, and we have, people are armed, and we have things that we can do. But that is the risk you take whenever you're controversial. I have been threatened. My life has been threatened in the past for things that have happened on the air here. Luckily, nothing recently. But whenever you deal with anything controversial, whenever you deal with anything that raises the passions of people, there's always that possibility. But that's life. When you walk out the front door, there's always a risk of, getting hurt by a motor car, getting assaulted by somebody that wants to rob you. There's always that risk. But risks need to be taken in order for things to progress.
WBCQ heeft 2 FM-zenders, 2 middengolfzenders en 4 korte golfzenders. Maar hoeveel mensen luisteren er nou eigenlijk naar?
It's hard to gauge it, but I would say it runs probably from 5 to 50,000 listeners worldwide out there. There are literally billions of shortwave radios. The Chinese are building shortwave receivers at around 10,000 a day. And people are buying shortwave radios every second of every day. And many of them tune into WBCQ because every time we turn on a transmitter, we get new listeners every minute of every day because it's an old medium that's been around since the 1920s. But it's very reliable and it's very sure and it's radio. It's the magic of radio.
Toch lijkt die magic, die magie van de radio, een beetje op zijn retour. Met vooral veel webcams in de studio, want de mensheid wil er online beelden bij zien. Dus is er nog wel toekomst voor de radio, bijvoorbeeld op de korte golf?
The beauty about shortwave is you can buy a shortwave receiver built in 1929 and pick up WBCQ and other shortwave stations, or you can buy a brand new ICOM or Yaesu, digital controlled and all these beautiful controls on them and displays, and pick up the same signal. So it's for a collector, for anyone interested in the radio art, shortwave radio is going to be around for a long, long time. And there are people investing in shortwave even today. As many governments are closing them down, there's one of our clients, World's Last Chance Ministries, who is spending millions and millions of dollars building one of the biggest, most versatile shortwave broadcast facilities on Earth right here at WBCQ to take advantage of free speech radio and put out a religious and political viewpoint to any point on Earth. And they're investing millions of dollars into the shortwave infrastructure because this is how people worldwide, especially many people that don't have immediate access to the internet, can get news and information.
Alan heeft dus investeerders gevonden die veel geld, miljoenen steken in zijn korte golfstation WBCQ. Krachtige zenders en een supersonisch antennesysteem voor zijn superstation.
The superstation is a marvelous piece of engineering. It uses a gigantic dipole curtain array antenna built by Ampagon, a Swiss company, and built by contractors here in the United States and contractors in Germany. And it stands about 260 feet high and about 200 feet wide. And it uses a magnificent copper curtain and 4 levels of dipoles high and 4 levels of dipoles across to basically take a 500,000 watt signal from a brand new Continental Electronics transmitter, and it will boost it up with an effective radiated power gain on our operating frequency of 9330 of 20 million watts. It's like a gigantic radio searchlight. It will send a beam out. And the beautiful thing about the antenna is it's fully rotatable, 360 degrees. So we can beam a shortwave, a free speech radio shortwave signal to any country, any point on Earth by just slewing the antenna, firing up the transmitter, and away we go.
Zo gaat het er dus aan toe in de Verenigde Staten. Maar in Europa worden midden- en korte golfzenders juist uitgezet. Wat is volgens Ellen daar de reden voor?
It's money. It's a simple thing about money. I mean, you get an accountant that knows nothing about radio, nothing about the radio art, and they just look and they say, well, it costs millions of dollars to maintain the transmitters and electricity and personnel and antennas and maintenance, and we can just, stream on the internet. Why should we be paying all this money? So they shut everything down, they stream on the internet, and they lose 80% of their audience, just like that, because you stream on the internet and you become one of millions and millions of streams, which good luck sorting them all out. And this is what government people see. So they say, well, this is a less expensive route. So they cut it, and then they make, instead of mothballing it or preserving it for perhaps the next generation or whatever that might want to use it, especially in the case of a national emergency, they bulldoze it and they scrap it and they destroy it, never to be rebuilt again. This is our 9330 transmitter. This is on the air now with a client. Just pumping out those kilowatts on 9330 kilohertz. We know we're connecting to people. And we know that people listen to radio. There's something about it when somebody is tuning in a shortwave signal or an AM signal or an FM signal, there's a real connection. They're really listening. And that to me is outrageously exciting. And it's not only exciting, it is great fun. It is very enjoyable to do radio broadcasting.
Ja, dat is zeker het geval. En natuurlijk moet ik de krachtige WBCQ-zender ook zelf even testen met de TL-buis.
Okay. Wow. Magic. Wow. Wow. Look at that. Look at that. That's neat. Okay. My first broadcast was a pirate broadcast. It was back in the days when I, lived as a kid, going to high school in Yonkers, New York, and I had cobbled together a transmitter using military surplus parts, and in a kind of a mild day in September of, I think it was 1968, we signed on the air with our first free radio pirate station serving the Yonkers, New York area on 1620 AM, a little bit above the medium wave broadcast band. And we signed on the air, just a bunch of kids from high school playing music and expressing our viewpoints, and it was very exciting. This is a 2 million watt three-phase generator that can power the superstation. It's a V16, big unit. Pretty efficient, runs on diesel, but this is what you need to keep free speech radio going, no matter what. So when the revolution comes, ladies and gentlemen, we'll be on the air. Radio is very intimate. When you sit behind a microphone and you talk to your audience, there's a one-to-one. Even though I'm sitting here and we're broadcasting through all these powerful transmitters, I can still feel that there's one person out there, listening very intently to what I have to say, to what my viewpoints, my opinions, or the music I'm playing. And it is very, very one-to-one, and it becomes very special. I mean, through the years of radio, DJs, disc jockeys, have developed very close ties with their audience. That's a magic. That's fun. That's a beautiful thing that happens in this broadcast media. A little bit has changed because everything is so computer driven, but there still is a lot of that personal one-to-one contact in radio broadcasting still today. And this transmitter is our 3,000 watt FM transmitter for 94.7. 1970s vintage, but extremely reliable. One output tube, works very, very, very well. And with our antenna, it gives us an ERP of 6,000 watts, which covers about 20, 30 miles of the area locally. Radio is having a little bit of a struggle, and I believe it's in all markets because there's a lot of competition now. Radio is struggling in some areas. Some stations are doing great. Some are having a little bit harder time because of the competition. But I've always felt that competition brings other opportunities. We now have streaming services. We now have internet control of radio stations, which for a station like WBCQ is just a technological wonder. It enables us to get so many more people on the air because they can connect with us and download audio files and stream their live programs to us in ways that were inconceivable 10 years ago. So the internet becomes a connection to the individual to the WBCQ transmitters. And many other stations run like that also. So yeah, there's competition, there's different platforms, but they all add, they all help. There's a shakeout, and there will be a shakeout, and there'll be changes. Some will survive and some won't, but that's the nature of free enterprise. That's how it works, and what it leads to is better receiving, more choice, better technology, better receivers, better transmitters. You hope in the end. I mean, it's not a perfect world, but that's what we hope for.
International shortwave. This is the planet. Your favorite station for lots of sex, drugs, rock and roll.
Airtime is available to all on WBCQ shortwave. It's very simple. Go to our website, WBCQ.com. There you'll find all the information you need to get us a program, how to pay for it. There's a schedule. You can contact us by email or telephone, and we'll find airtime for you on any one of our transmitters. And our rates are $15 US to $50 US an hour. We have the lowest rates everywhere, mainly because we're a family-run operation, Ma and Pa. Ma's over there. We're a family-run operation. We have, very little overhead except electric bills and maintenance costs and government fees and all that stuff. So we can get people on the air inexpensively. So go to our website, WBCQ.com. Find everything you need to know about these stations.